field. It's Jerry World. But tonight, finally, it's Jimmy World, as he'll be inducted into the Ring of Honor at halftime. Many would say that is long overdue, and Cowboys royalty is in the building to see it happen. Emmitt Smith, a 3-time Super Bowl winner there, to see Jimmy go in, and this team, led by Dak, out onto the field, trying to end that Super Bowl drought. We know they're a playoff team, but still some work to do to figure out where they will fit in that NFC hierarchy. The puzzle's a little bit complicated. Meanwhile, not the same old Lions. They're the NFC North champions for the first time in 30 years, and that man right there has led a team to a Super Bowl, let's not forget. He's trying to do it with the Detroit Lions as we welcome you to a special Saturday edition of Monday Night Countdown, presented by Panera. And for the second time this week, man, we've been here a bunch. We can say hello from our studios in Connecticut. Robert Griffith III, Marcus Spears, and Ryan Clark. I'm Scott Van Pelt. And guys, there's a lot to like about both these teams. There are still some questions, I think, reasonable questions about each as they push towards the playoffs. Ryan, I'm going to start with you. In terms of what you're interested in learning tonight, finding out about, where do you begin?
The Detroit Lions, are they ready to walk into their moment? You know, this is a team that was looked at as cast-offs. You have a coach that's talking about biting kneecaps as he gets knocked out. A Jared Goff who was traded for Matthew Stafford because the Los Angeles Rams didn't think he could take them to the level they wanted to be. Now, this team that started this year with expectations for the first time in a long time has met those expectations. They've already won the NFC North. What are you going to do when the whole world is watching you against America's team? Can you step out and show that you are a true contender in the NFC, or are you just a team that's satisfied with winning the NFC North?
Because this would be by far their most impressive win of the year. I think that if there's a question, it's like, look, your record's your record, but we're waiting for you to beat that team that's a true heavyweight.
Well, you know what happened. They beat Kansas City week 1, and we was like, ooh, here we go. Right? But they've had some games when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, the Chicago Bears on the road, where the Detroit Lions have let you down and made you think, is this the same organization that retired Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson early? Tonight, they get an opportunity to prove to not only themselves, but the entire NFC that they're a team to be reckoned with down the road.
I love the fact that they've earned their opportunity to have this conversation, to your point, RC. But on the other side, Dallas. Is it the same old Dallas? Is really the question. We're talking about a team that won 12 games 2 years previous to where they are right now. They've been in the playoffs, and everybody is asking the questions about the moments. Now, we talk about glaring weaknesses because we can project. They have to be in the now, we can project.
It's our job.
Yeah, it's our job. So, Dallas tonight, can you handle the run game? That is going to be a big question coming into this game.
These boys can run it.
Can they?
They run it. Not based on facts right now. No, sir, they cannot. But these are the opportunities that you get to kind of shore things up. And RG and RC knows this guy. We go in on a week-to-week basis as teams. And we try to figure out not only how can we get better, but how can we hide those flaws as best as possible. Well, the problem with stopping the run is it's just a doing thing. It's not something that you can scheme away from. It's about those 11 individual guys making a conscious effort to make sure that they get that part of the game stopped. I'm interested to see if Dallas can play that way, because Detroit is going to try to make them play that way.
Yeah, I think, guys, what you're both saying is that this is a statement game for both the Cowboys and the Detroit Lions. You look at their seasons right now, they've been a little up and down in these big moments. This is an opportunity on a Saturday for them to show the entire world that they can win at the highest level and get a win against a playoff team. When I look at this game for the Cowboys and Dak Prescott, I want to see him be more decisive in the running game, as far as when the pocket breaks down and nothing's there, get out and start going. And if you're Cowboys Nation, fear not. Your team is playing at home. And we all know that the Cowboys at home is like milk and cookies. And trust me, guys, I know the importance of high-quality milk. And on the road, the milk's gone bad for the Cowboys. But right now, in this situation, in this game, if I asked myself or I asked you guys, who do you trust more? I trust, don't start with me, RC. I trust the team that wins this game more when the playoffs come, because they're winning at the right time.
Was I the only person that got nervous when RG said something about good milk?
I was terrified. I was terrified.
Okay.
But I trust him. We're trying to figure out which team I trust my colleague. I trusted him to keep the train on the tracks.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that.
All right, I'm going to welcome in Lisa Salters now.
Hey, Miss Lisa.
from Dallas. And Lisa, you spoke with both coaches in advance of this game. I want to start with Dallas. They were just on the road, had a couple of opportunities to get that big road win, but now they're in the friendly confines at home where they're plus 171, right? The focus on that side, let's start with Dallas. Where is it?
Yes, Scott. Well, despite 2 consecutive losses, Mike McCarthy says if his team can stay healthy over the next 2 weeks, he feels great about the Cowboys' playoff opportunity. For tonight, McCarthy says we all know what we're playing for, keeping hopes of that #2 NFC seed alive. One guy he wants to lean on heavily tonight, running back Tony Pollard, who McCarthy said he wants to get at least 20 touches in this game. Dallas was held under 100 rushing yards in those 2 losses and has had issues with the run game down by the goal line. Pollard says he's blocking out the critical noise, but did say the team needs to execute better when it comes to short yardage and the run game overall. The Lions took a few moments last week to celebrate their first division title since 1993. Jared Goff wasn't even born then. But the party in the locker room was short-lived this week, and Coach Dan Campbell made sure of it. His message the first day back was, this feels great, we earned it, but the focus cannot be on what we've done, it's got to be on Dallas. Jared Goff said this team knows it still has a lot more to play for, to fight for, and a path to the #1 seed if they can keep winning. But the bitter taste of the past is what's making everything just so sweet right now. We've been to the bottom, Goff said. We've seen the darkness and have come out of it. We can see the light now. We're trying to take advantage of all of it. Scott?
And Lisa, to that point, a lot to play for on both sides. The path to the 1 seed for Detroit, pretty straightforward. They need to win both. They need San Francisco to lose one. The Cowboys, meanwhile, have a path to the NFC East. They need to win their last 2. They need the Eagles to drop 1 of their final 2 games. When we continue a one-on-one with Dan Campbell, what has most impressed him about the leadership of his quarterback, Jared Goff. Lions have been great under the bright lights. They're 4-0 in prime time, but Cowboys are 4-1 under the bright lights, and lights are going to be bright on those 2 tonight as Jimmy Johnson goes into the Cowboys Ring of Honor at halftime. Joe, and what's worked there?
Yeah, I think these 2 are like they're each other's spirit animal. Right, Jared Goff's not chasing stats, and what Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson have been able to do for Jared Goff is put him in an offensive system that allows him to use play action, which is what he's best at. Right now, he's 3rd in completions on play action and 4th in passing yards, and they put a top 10 offensive line around him. He's got a 2-headed monster at running back. When you talk about Jahmyr Gibbs, who's out there showing people he's got more moves than a military family on that football field, and David Montgomery is out.
You're from a military family.
I am from a military family, and David Montgomery,
they
they both offer something different. But what I've really been so keen with this offense and what Ben Johnson has done is with Amon-Ra St. Brown. The guy is like, where's Waldo every time he comes out of the huddle? He's lined up in the slot. He's outside. He's at running back. He's at the tight end spot. And the other thing about it is he's not just a great player. They also have started to get Jameson Williams involved into this offense. He's had 40 yards receiving the past 2 weeks. If you can get him to not just take the top off the defense, but do some extra things, this offense is going to continue to explode. But the bottom line is Campbell said they were going to be biting off kneecaps. And, guys, we all know that's code for him basically saying we're going to bust you upside your head and we're going to lean on you. And that's exactly what this Lions team does.
I know Marcus wants to talk about the threat that Lion run game presents, but I'm going to lean on you, Ryan, in your area of expertise. And that secondary for the Cowboys, they're going to be stressed. How do they deal with the weapons?
And I love what RG said about what Ben Johnson does. He's a guy that loves to use motion, loves to use his receivers, his running back in different positions on the football field. And I think where they attack the Dallas Cowboys is in between the numbers. When you look at what they can do in the run game and now getting into the play action, the condensed splits, Amon-Ra St. Brown, also guys like Sam Laporta, that's how you push the football down the field if you are the Detroit Lions. And now with Jameson Williams becoming more a part of this offense, it's going to be, can he connect when he gets an opportunity to get a shot downfield? But it's going to be about this offensive line protecting Jared Goff. And if they can stop number 11, they have an opportunity to make some plays.
And to your point, RC, that's why you don't want this game to turn into Jared Goff arm being the reason you win.
100%.
Right? Lean into what you do best, and off of that run game is where the play action comes alive. RG3, I can relate to moving a lot too when the rent run out. We did that quite a bit too, me and my mom and them. But here's the thing, man.
That's not even funny, but it's funny.
It's funny. It's like whoa, it's all good. We ain't no more. All right. Jahmyr Gibbs is gonna be a big deal in this game to protect Jared Goff. and also protect this offensive line, because there is a weakness on this offensive line, and it's not about the scheme. It's not about how they slide protect. It's Taylor Decker.
Just speaking up, 253 and a half.
I'm going to go with the over, and it's going to be because I'm going to piggyback off of what Marcus just talked about. When you look at this Lions team, they have to start fast tonight. But starting fast doesn't mean throwing the ball all over the yard. Yeah. He should be able to get over 253 and a half based off of some of the play action stuff that they're going to do. And Sam Laporta being that safety blanket in the middle of the football field is going to be huge.
14 for the road team's pretty good. 88 for the home team has been a consistent killer all year long. CeeDee Lamb, Ryan, over under 100.5 receiving yards.
You know what? I think he'll have an over, because look at last week. They started out really targeting CeeDee Lamb, and they sort of went away from him when Vic Fangio showed a little double toward his side. But then toward the end of the game, when it was players over plays, Dak Prescott found CeeDee Lamb again. I don't think they have that lull tonight. I think he understands the way I got you on the first date was I treated you well and I took you to Nick and Sam's. I can't start taking you to Burger King. CeeDee Lamb has to be the guy.
Nick and Sam's, you know about that, Marcus. How about the over under 283 and a half passing yards for Dak?
I'm going to drink it all when I get done, Scott. Appreciate you for Christmas, Scott Van Pelt. Send me a gift card. Dak going over. I think this is a play action game for Dak as well. I want to see Dallas's run game start to materialize, but at home, this team has been damn near indefensible through the air. And when you start talking about getting Brandon Cooks involved, when you start talking about getting Jake Ferguson.
Philadelphia lost. That's the playmaker. And
him into Dallas.
He and Jimmy exchanging greetings and hugs, and man, the stories they could tell, the memories they share as Jimmy Johnson goes in the Ring of Honor tonight at halftime. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman will handle all of that. Dak Prescott, look, they got to the playoffs and won a playoff game last year. It's a step, but they're trying to make strides deeper into the playoffs this year. Robert, when you look at Dak and you think about not just tonight in a big-time game against a playoff team in Detroit, but the playoffs that loom. Biggest key for him is what?
Yeah, biggest key right now is getting back to be more efficient on third downs. They got to execute better. Last week they were 4 for 12. And when you turn on the tape, it all starts with the guys up front.
Eric,
Right here, you can look at Bradley Chubb. Ooh. He's going to create a pressure off the edge, right? He forces Dak to step up. Look at all the guys that are covered. Yes, the under on the outside is open, but Dak can't get there because he's moving. Now, right here, they're still covered. I need Dak to be more decisive and run for that first down. He got the linebacker to settle his feet. He could have made that happen. Right here, the offensive line should have this protected. You got the left tackle going out to Chubb. You got the left guard going to the linebacker, but the left tackle comes back in and allows Chubb to have a free runner. Dak's out there running for his life, can't get a completion because he doesn't have time. Right here, I'm going to show you him overcome the bad protection. He's got CeeDee Lamb on a corner route. The motion lets him know that it's man. The D-line runs a TT stunt and gets to him, but he sits there in the pocket and delivers a beautiful pass. The one play that's not on that tape is the touchdown pass to Cooks.
Money.
On the money. And on that one, his right tackle was on a spin cycle, blocking air. So Dak is overcoming these things. Terrence Steele. He's overcoming these things, but for him and them, they have to be more efficient on third down.
Yeah, I mean, his tackles haven't done him any favors throughout this entire year, but what he has had is CeeDee Lamb. And I want to know if the Detroit Lions can find an answer when they're not getting pressure on the quarterback, when they're not creating turnovers. And we've seen Aaron Glenn have to adjust because outside of Aiden Hutchinson, they don't have that guy that can win one-on-ones. I want to point something out, though. Everyone talks about how different it is for the Dallas Cowboys to score at home as opposed to the road. You know what happens at home? They turn the football over. At home, this team gives Dak Prescott and this offense more possessions and shorter fields. Can they do that tonight? Because if they do, I don't believe the Detroit Lions can stop them.
And to your point, RC, with that pressure with Detroit as far as bringing in extra people, this is an Aiden Hutchinson night. He's going to have a monster game. He's staring across the field, looking at number 11, and thinking that the impact that Micah Parsons has, he needs to have that against Dak Prescott.
My question to you is it about staring at number 11 or staring at those two tackles that must not like Dak Prescott?
well, first, he already feels good about what he's seen on tape with them. But it's all, you know how that thing goes now. We got two really good pass rushers in this game. He wants to have a better night than number 11. And it may be one of those effectiveness that creates the difference in this game as well.
All right, we got a little less than a minute. Time now for ESPN Bet Game Picks. Robert, go first.
Okay, guys, I love the Lions, and it's not just because their mascot looks like Cat Williams, okay? I'm very proud of what they've done, but the Cowboys are more dominant than Mike Tyson in his prime. They're more dominant than Bo Jackson on Tecmo Bowl, so I'm going with the Cowboys. I think they stop the run. run, 37-31.
I got the Cowboys winning this game. They at home. They haven't lost a game at home.
Yeah, I have the Cowboys, too. I believe they bounce back. And when you look at the matchups of this game, I feel like the Dallas Cowboys can exploit them defensively, and they'll find plays on the defensive side.
Save
of
us,
the ball as
Scott.
well.
Have you seen the show? Do you know what I do?
Thank you, Lord.
I pick the team that wins, and that's the Detroit Lions.
did?
I'm just saying, every time I've done it, it's
I
worked.
hope you're wrong.
I'm not afraid to
We
look
can't
dumb. I know I
lose
do
with Jimmy
anyway.
going
For the
in
fellas,
the
I'm
ring.
Scott.
No.
See you next Saturday.
No, can't do that.
Sitting in the top spot, they control their own destiny for that #1 seed in the bye. Right now, it's the Eagles leading the East, but the Cowboys have a shot as they sit as a #5 seed for still winning the division, and believe it or not, being a #1 overall seed. It's a convoluted equation to get there. And for the Lions, they won their division, and if they win out, at worst, they sit as the #2 seed. And now welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Joe Buck. That's the Hall of Famer, Troy Aikman. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, but we're going to have a party here tonight. Jimmy Johnson is going to be honored here before the home fans with his name being added to the Ring of Honor live on our air. And prior to that, we should have a fun first half. And with the Lions, they won their first division in 30 years. We've all learned about that and heard about it for the last week. I don't get any sense that they're complacent with that and that they're looking in the rear-view mirror with Dan Campbell as their head coach.
Yeah, nor do I. I mean, this is a team that has played well all year long. It started week 1 in their big win on the road against Kansas City. They clinched the division last week in the win against Minnesota. But they've got bigger goals in mind, and you laid it out. There's a lot still out in front of them just tonight and next week. It's a team that's playing really good football. How are they going to be able to win this game tonight? I think they've got to rely on their offensive line, which is one of the best in football. And the teams that have given Dallas problems have been the teams that have been able to run the football. And the Lions are capable of doing that. The defense, of course, has to help them in keeping the score down. But they know the formula, and now it's a matter of whether or not they can go out and execute it.
A couple of weeks ago, the Dallas Cowboys were sitting on top in the NFC East, and Dak Prescott was in the MVP conversation. 2 losses later, here they are back at home where they just cannot be stopped so far this season. I get the sense they're revved up for a big game here tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. And despite the 2 losses over the last couple of weeks, this is a different team at home. As you said, they average 40 points a game here at home. So they come in really confident. They like